Hello, welcome to the channel where I have a mix of cars old but mostly new. They are all plush, they are all serious, they are all expensive, they are all quiet, they are all luxurious. So my colleague Matt Saunders and I, he's going to sit in the back as passenger, I'm going to go in the front as chauffeur. We're going to try all of them and decide which is the world's best luxury car.
We have assembled the world's most luxurious new cars and one old one to see what progress has been made. And to test them, we're going to major on ride comfort in the front and back and levels of noise isolation. First up is the Bentley Flying Spur, as luxurious as motoring names get.
So first of all, welcome to the inside of the Bentley Flying Spur. This is an Azure trim edition. I'm chauffeur, by the way. My colleague Matthew Saunders is in the back instructing me to go. Where are we headed to, sir?
We're going to go over the hill.
Over the hill.
And just see where this sits relative to the other stuff we've got, mate, comfort-wise. I'm pretty comfortable back here, I have to say. The seat is good.
Yeah.
It's not too soft. I'm not, it's got a bit of lateral bolstering, so I'm not moving around too much as you chuck it around these corners. The ride feels fairly connected. It's not wafting, is it?
It's not, is it? It's in. I mean, I know Bentleys are. The thing with Bentleys is they've got to do the luxury thing, but then they also do nearly 200 miles an hour. So they've got that. They've kind of somehow got to square both of those things, and it is picking up some of these little ridges and stuff. Yeah, I'm in the 8-ball mode, but I'll move it to the.
Go to comfort, mate.
I'll go to comfort. We are now in comfort. It does control its body movements nicely, doesn't it? We just come over a dip and a crest, and it's just settled and moved on.
Yeah.
They asked me to look again. That's the
and they don't define this as a limousine. They've always said it's a GT.
Right.
So I think it's important to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
It's not trying to do the same thing as the Rolls or the or even the i7 really. It's trying to be Bentley. I mean, I think we did deliberately seek out quite a gnarly, nasty surface, didn't we?
Well, why wouldn't you? Yeah.
We shouldn't be surprised if all of these cars are less than perfect.
It has got some rippling going on.
This one feels connected to me.
Yeah.
But I mean, at least it's honest. It's an intelligible car, I think, this. You sort of can understand what it's for, and it's all feeding into one sort of character type and one sort of role. It doesn't surprise you. You don't sort of. Some of these other cars might be a little bit more comfortable initially, but then sort of come unstuck at a moment. I think this one has one of the more consistent sort of dynamic characters, actually. It's a bit more easy to understand.
Well, it's nice in the front, I've got to say. Nice. That's a very lame word, isn't it? It's better than nice. Everything's beautifully stitched together. Fit and finish is first rate, I've got to say. It's got quite a lot of buttons, which I like, but is funny to find on a luxury car where they sort of try and make the design as clean and as sumptuous as you like. I've got a big array of buttons on the centre, on the transmission tunnel. Fairly old school. That must be deliberate, mustn't it? Volkswagen don't need to fit such a big mechanical lever as that anymore. That must be a deliberate Bentley power suggestive.
Well, it's a traditional cockpit,
thing.
Isn't it? It's not trying to be too avant-garde.
No.
It's a bit sort of old, sort of fighter plane type.
Fighter plane,
feel.
gentleman's club.
Yeah.
Sort of monarchy. Yeah. I mean, pleasant. So how much room have you got?
Loads, mate. Bloody loads. And I've got all the knobs for adjusting everything.
What can you? Oh yeah. Do you get is it the Spur? You get a little remote control for stuff that you can, looks like a tiny little smartphone or tablet or something.
There's one down here, but it's fixed. I can't move it.
Oh, okay.
I've got all the seat adjustment, and it'll do quite a lot. I don't know if it does quite the sort of 7 Series sleeping seat conversion.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to do that much, but I mean, I've got loads of adjustment.
Yeah, I mean, in the old school chauffeuring way, you would probably be the other side of the car, wouldn't you? Because you'd have as much room as you want. But for the purposes of the video, to A, show how much room he has, and B, so that we can both be on camera at the same time. Matt's sitting behind my driving position.
It's not a problem. Got a lovely fold-out table so I can play my
nice
Baccarat or whatever the hell I want to play. Rest my port on there.
I don't know about the whole table thing, because presumably it's like veneered topped, isn't it? Or
it's leathered.
Or is it? Oh, is it?
Yeah,
so it is quite.
So.
So you could put stuff on there and it may not slide around.
There aren't any retention sort of recesses or anything. I don't think I'd want to put anything that might slide on it too much, but
Yeah.
could rest a book on there or something.
I like being able to hear the engine in that quite subtle, just sort of hums away. It's quite good.
Yeah.
Right, mate. So if I set us at 50 along this
good.
stretch.
Let's find a sort of an average. This will do here.
Yeah. All right, that is 50.
Okay, we'll call that 58 decibels.
58.
That's quiet, isn't it?
Copy that. That is quiet. All right, what should we try next? Range Rover?
Yeah, why not?
JLR, their words here, want to be proud creators of the most desirable modern luxury brands. This then is currently top of JLR's tree. It's a full-fat Range Rover in P440e autobiography plug-in hybrid form.
Right, and so to the Range Rover. Mate, how much room do you have back there?
Enough, mate. Not quite as much as I had in the Bentley, it has to be said. The seat isn't quite as sort of big, and it doesn't adjust in quite so many ways. But you know, it's comfy. It's sort of fabric. Interestingly, it's not all leather.
I quite like it, and I've heard other people in the office say that they don't. But it's sort of almost like a high-end suit material, isn't it? And I quite like that. And
much as it's sort of more flat than some, I'm not moving around on it, which is there's something to be said for that. Something you don't slide around the top of it.
I quite like the Imperious view out, and I know that's not relevant necessarily for this test, but there's so many sort of low walls in the countryside in the UK or hedgerows and stuff like that. You get a great view over in a car like this, don't you?
Yeah, it definitely contributes. Also, I'm sitting higher than I would be in a limousine, so my view of the road ahead is clearer.
Oh, no, that's interesting. Because some people do feel a bit queasy when they can't see that.
It's important, I think, mate. So I think with cars like this, with they called it the old stadium seating, didn't they? I think you may be a bit comfier in some ways because you can see out better.
Yeah. Right, I've put the terrain response into auto. It was in, I think it was in dynamic, weirdly actually, but it now should plushen down a little, but it feels, I don't know, there is that kind of sproing that you get. I know it's a big word, but you get with air-sprung cars. It's, you know, it has a bit of going on. Yeah,
to me, it's not sort of quite as plush as I expected it might be. Somehow, it's got a little bit of the connected feel of the Bentley, but because it's bigger and higher, it's sort of moving around a bit more. I can feel it just sort of squatting a little bit on the back axle as it's riding.
Yeah. But yeah, it's got a lot to do. It can tow 3.5 tons, and it can go. You can take it on a shoot around your fields and everything else. I mean, it's
also on all-season tyres.
Incredibly, so it's an incredibly practical, versatile car, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's pretty nice in the front. The material quality isn't up to Bentley standards. You know, there's no. What is it? I don't know. It's like a sort of contemporary Swedish hotel. Do you know what I mean? In that sort of there's wood here, but it's kind of got little.
I think you must stay in a lot of those
stripes in it. What's that?
You must stay in an awful lot of those.
A lot of contemporary Swedish hotels. Yeah, big iPad on the front. Not many dials, but the heating and ventilation controls do at least stay as big physical dials, which you could, you know, with you get in from your shoot and you've got cold fingers, you could still use them quite easily.
Yeah.
Or just over that ridge, you feel that? Do you feel that in the back?
Yeah, there's a bit of a thump and a little bit of a secondary wiggle, and
a little lateral shimmy.
It's not as isolated as I think we'll find some of the others to be. Mate, but.
Well, let's do I'll swing it around. Let's do the noise test. And I suppose, in a way, because it's an SUV and it has to do all the other stuff, you sort of make excuses for it. But JLR, as it has just rebranded itself, is pitching itself in the luxury sphere, isn't it? They think they are Hermes, they think they are whatever the luxury goods are, Louis Vuitton, blah, blah, blah. So it's got to do the business, hasn't it?
Well, yes. 60 decibels.
Bentley was, 58,
58,
was it?
Yeah.
So it's a little bit louder. It's a pleasant car to be in the front of, I've got to say.
And that's a big factor, mate. You know, most people, I think, certainly Range Rover customers, are going to drive themselves.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
And there is a longer one, of course, you could have if you're going to travel in the back, which would give you a bit more room.
Yeah. What next? Big rolls? New rolls?
Yeah. Yeah, let's treat ourselves, mate.
Oh, yeah. Well, You say that, mate, but we've seen the interior. Just wait till you see this interior. I don't know who specs their press demonstrators, but wow, they've got an imagination.
From an aspiring luxury name then to the most famous luxury name in the car business. The Rolls-Royce Phantom 8 is the latest and greatest in Rolls' line of luxury saloons.
So, this is quiet, isn't it?
This
feels quiet to me.
This is properly quiet. This is sort of. It is no exaggeration to call this splendid isolation, mate. Is it? This is. Yeah.
How much room have you got?
Acres. Just an enormous amount.
And there's an enormous amount of blue, isn't there?
Mm.
This is. I'm going to paint my baby's nursery. I hope it's a boy. Sort of blue.
Yeah, and there's a lot of it. It's even in the bottom of the armrest cupboard down here, mate. It's everywhere.
It is everywhere.
You've got to like it.
You have. I do like these cars, and I know that they're slightly ostentatious, aren't they? They're a bit showy, but they're so nice. Yeah,
it's the automotive equivalent of evening wear, isn't it? It's your sort of extra special night out once a year.
I know they're big. I know they're a bit bargy and everything else. Actually, I'm not sure how sophisticated that boing 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 to the ride is, but I love how they drive. I love the big wheel with a thin rim.
Yeah, they've made that a little bit less thin for this one, mate. That's one of the revisions.
Yeah.
But you're right about the ride. It's on a good surface. It is beautifully quiet and isolated. On this, well, look. I mean, I'm sitting here. I can see the seat backs wobbling around.
Yeah.
I can feel the rear subframe moving around beneath me as well.
Yeah,
and because it's so soft,
it's rigid.
It probably lacks a little bit of outright wheel control, doesn't it? And damping isolation, perhaps. I just think when you catch an edge on this, because it's otherwise so pervasively quiet, you really hear it.
But everything in the front is really beautifully put together.
And it's the only car so far that wafts, isn't it?
It's wafted.
This is
proper
wafting.
waft.
Bentley didn't waft. Range Rover didn't waft.
No, absolutely not.
So this is doing the classic wafty waft.
Yeah. And actually, it feels so quiet to me. I'm going down this road at the same speed as the others, and although I'm saying, I can detect we can detect this bit of sprawl here and there. It's the loudest thing in the car would be my hands on the wheel if I.
Yeah, that's the real difference. Is just that background refinement. It's pretty breathtaking, really.
I did hear once somebody from Rolls-Royce say that actually, they train chauffeurs to feed the wheel between their fingers, because actually if they shuffle the wheel as it is and let it straighten up in their hands, that's the noisiest thing in the car. So they just so they feed it, which actually works very well with a big thin rim and a light.
But you've got some of those lovely sort of lovely thin sort of gloves, those leather gloves that they have. Yeah. I'm sure that would probably dampen the squidging down, mate.
Quite like a snooker referee.
Maybe you could have two jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
Just pop my tray table out here.
Electric tow table.
Yeah, there's a telly in the back of the seat. I won't turn that on because otherwise we'll have grandstand on the video.
Yeah, well, actually, I think the snooker championships is on at the moment, isn't it? So yeah, that would be on. But I've got this sort of old, a generation or two old BMW-based iDrive system with a smallish screen, and then although these instruments are digital, they replicate normal instruments very well, analog instruments really well. My understanding is that a lot of Rolls Phantom buyers say that's what they want. They don't want too much intrusion of stuff, so we get proper chrome-plated buttons. You're really in verified tucks away
verified territory when you get that, because Bentley do the rotating display thing as well. So again, if you want to put the technology away and just drive your car without any intrusion, they know how important that is.
And that is luxury, isn't it? It is being left alone.
Well, exactly.
To an extent,
I think that is modern luxury. It's the option to make the rest of the world just go away for a bit.
Yeah. Have you got the sound meter?
I've got it.
So, the HVAC is off. So it did thump over that a bit, didn't it? But
it's not perfect on this surface, mate. No. But I mean, it's a big old lump.
It is a big car. Right, so that's 50.
4 decibels. That is quiet.
That's really quiet, especially because it's a logarithmic scale, isn't it? Decibels, so it's not like it's 4 decibels. It's a big difference. But then you just get that whatever that was at the road. Then it just sort of had a badunk, almost like a tiny little bump steer as it stepped sideways and thumped through. But
and again, because you're sat back here, right on the rear subframe, I think
you notice
maybe
it more
I hear it more than you do, mate. And because just the contrast that it is, it's that little bit more intrusive because they do such a good job 99.9% of the rest of the time.
Does it smell of emulsion paint in here, or is it just because I somehow associate it with this or this level of this colour?
Yeah.
I just go, oh, it smells like freshly painted. It smells like everywhere the
Tulip's
king goes,
bathroom,
mate. It smells like it just smells like fresh paint and flowers everywhere.
It doesn't to me. It smells like I don't know, breeding. In a good way.
It is a great view. I can just see, actually, I would prefer to see a bit less hump of bonnet and a bit more wings, just to help place it. But steering's so precise, control weights are really pleasant and light.
It's lovely to drive. If you had one, it would be such a shame to let somebody else drive it for you.
It would, yeah, it would. And my understanding is that they do. A lot of people who own one will drive it most of the time themselves, but now and again they'll hire a driver when they're having a posh night out or whatever. And yeah, I mean, if it wasn't so conspicuous, you'd sort of drive one a lot if you had one, wouldn't you? Do you think?
There are ways though that it reminds you of the territory you're in. These big old C-pillar, D-pillar things behind me. They make those extra large, and in some ways you'd say, oh well, I wish I could see a bit more out of it. But of course, that's for your A-listers to hide from the paps.
Yeah.
You haven't got to just put your big Chanel sunglasses on. You can just hide
behind the pillar.
Yeah. Put the sun blinds up if you want.
Right, should we try an old one?
Oh yeah.
I can't wait for this.
I am really pleased we managed to bring this next car along. It is a 60-year-old Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud 3, which will show us just how much progress has been made, or not, since it was first on sale for £5,500 in 1964.
So, welcome to the Silver Cloud 3, mate.
What?
I love the view.
Yeah.
The bonnet, it's much narrower than a Phantom, as you would imagine for an old car. But
isn't it just this? There's an intimacy to this that a Phantom just does not have. But I've got loads of room back here, mate.
Have you?
In terms of leg room, I have comparable amount, and it's beautifully done. All the solid wood. It's like, I don't know if it's oak or walnut but it is all. It's not veneer. It is absolutely.
But it is still. There's some sort of marquetry on this, mate, as it's joined. The top bit is joined to this bit, so it's clearly, joined together very, very nicely.
Yeah.
Oh, you've got to give the brakes a bit of a shove.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't. Yeah. Okay. So dynamically, I think it's fair to say things have moved on in the past. How old is this car? 50, 60 years? 63.
What's that?
But it's still nice. Yeah. It's still pretty charming. And actually, it's reasonably quiet.
Yeah, I mean, this is on 15-inch wheels. The next smallest is a 21 on today's exercise. So it ought to ride. You kind of think it ought to ride naturally really well.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's also got a live axle, and I think steel leaf springs at the back.
Yeah.
And
it's got 65,000 miles on it, and
exactly.
It's got some fatigue over the years.
I don't think it's the ride you notice though. It's the isolation you notice. I mean, this is a noisier cabin because you can hear the wind and the and the surface of the road more. And I think that's the big difference, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Inevitably, aero slipperiness and just the sealing around stuff is not as good as on a contemporary car.
Yeah,
is
I
it?
wonder about that front passenger door. It's sort of, there might be a bit of a leaky seal on it or something.
Yeah.
Old cars are like that, aren't they?
Yeah. But it's still, mate, I mean, it's so nice. And there is that Rolls-Royce DNA that comes through to the modern one. This big thin-rimmed wheel that is very easy to place the car. It's very accurate. Yeah, there is some wind noise from over there.
So there are no headrests, mate.
Oh yeah.
I mean, obviously, I haven't got a seatbelt. You haven't got a head restraint. This is, 1960s safety engineering. But I haven't gone off. I've got a really clear view. I can see right past your ear, mate. I can see almost as much as you can.
Yep.
And like we were saying in the Range Rover, I think it makes a big difference. I'm so much more comfy because I can see what's coming.
Yeah. It's pleasant. I could do a lot of miles in this, and there's not that many cars of that age that you'd still be happy today to say, oh yeah, fine, I'll drive to Wales and back.
And I think you could make it comfier. I think Joe, the owner's put it on radial ply tyres when it ought to be on cross plies. That will make a difference to the ride. He's got the rear tyres at 32 psi. He could go lower with those probably. I think that's manufacturer setting, but.
Have you seen these indicator stalk?
Yeah.
It's absurd. It is the nicest indicator stalk I've ever seen. I know it's only a little plastic bit on the end, or Bakelite or whatever on the end, but it's just this tiny, thin needle of a stalk. Just fantastic.
Yeah, the Citroen DS I drove not so long ago was very similar, mate. Beautiful,
really?
Elegant, yeah, slim.
Yeah. I wonder how they felt about this kind of. Is it Bakelite, this material?
Looks like it. Yeah.
Is it? I wonder how they felt about that at the time. Right, 50 miles an hour. The engine's labouring a bit more.
Yeah.
But whenever you're ready, mate, we'll do the old. We'll get over this brow and do the noise, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Unfortunately, that wind noise just kicks in at about 45.
Better than it was, mate.
Yeah.
So, 67 decibels. It's quite a lot noisier, isn't it?
A lot louder.
Unsurprisingly.
Yeah. But not unrefined, is it? You know what I mean? But even by modern, I don't know, what would do 67 decibels at 50 these days? Because cars do, city cars and super minis and stuff
slightly
like that
noisier than average super mini would be doing that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, probably more road than wind, whereas we're more wind than road, I guess.
Yeah.
But still lovely. Just.
Yeah, if I was, the Duke of Edinburgh, I could put up this, I think. And the visibility is really good as well.
It's lovely. I love that about old cars. You can see. It's one of the nice things about my old Defender, actually, mate, is that it's you get a great view out, and when somebody's in the back, because somehow it is a more cozy, intimate space, it feels like a family.
Yeah, it's more of a shared experience.
Thing. Yeah,
and there's loads of comfort in this seat. This seat has to be twice as soft as the next one I've tried.
Yeah,
and I think it's easy to underestimate how much you get extra ride comfort you get.
Yeah, that's true.
From a seat that just properly, cosets you.
So next, mate, let's try the i7, shall we? Full electrified experience. It's going to be interesting to see that, actually.
That will be
much
a
difference. Yeah, I'm glad we've done it in this order.
To know just what testers and the car buying public thought of the Silver Cloud in 1964, you could read it in the Autocar Archive, which you can get access to with a subscription to the magazine, available over at themagazineshop.com. Meantime, to the last of our group. We wanted one car from the dominant three executive car makers, Audi, BMW or Mercedes, to see how they'd go against the true luxury brands, and then there was only one choice. The BMW i7 has wowed us and a good many Dynamics engineer we've spoken to with its supreme comfort and isolation.
Right then, full PlayStation experience.
We're suddenly in the Buck Rogers 22nd century, whatever it is.
I've got to be a certain age to remember that, don't you?
I'll tell you what though, there is a plushness to this car at ultra low speed, which some of the other ones don't have. Isn't there? I'm not imagining it. The super low speed ride coming out of the car park then.
Super low speed ride is good.
Really, really soft.
Yeah. Yeah, very pillowy. And of course, unbelievably quiet because there's no engine at low speed. I mean, I know we're only doing 25 miles an hour, but it is isolated. Not just the noise, but the ride feels isolated as well. Well, it's a bit of an overlap, but
it's not soft, is it? But the seats are really soft.
Yeah. In the front, well, mate, I mean, I get material. I don't know. I've got about 35 different materials to pick from. Some weird sort of kryptonite kind of crystal on the dash.
You've got your little crystal seat adjusters, haven't you?
Your crystal seat adjusters, crystal iDrive controller, which is nice because it's not all on the touchscreen, but there is a big touchscreen. It's well finished. Fit and finish is good, no question. But I don't know. I mean, I think if you imagine coming back to this in 60 years' time, as we have with Joe's Rolls Royce, and I don't know, I suppose we would look at it and go, wow, that's very of its time. And it is good to drive. It feels like a BMW to drive, which is good. It feels like, you know, the way a 7 Series was always that bit more alert than an S-Class.
Yeah,
it still retains that weight distribution and the keenness of steering, and you know, just felt like another grown-up BMW. This does have that vibe.
There's a bit more surface noise coming through now, isn't there, than there was at low speed, but
yeah,
it's that compromise they've got to find, isn't it? It's got to be a BMW within its class, but it's also got to be a very effective limo generally.
How much room have you got?
Loads, mate. Yeah, as much, not quite as much as in the Phantom, but close. And, you know, plenty of headroom. Loads, you know, great visibility with a massive, great glass roof. And I've got lovely, you know, pillowy headrests, and, you know, the sleeping seat on this side does all that, so you can convert that and go really, really reclined with it.
Oh, yes, I've seen that. Yeah, you could just go basically flat, can't you?
Have a kit if you wanted.
Yeah, it's like business class on a long haul flight.
Yeah, it's kind of it's modern, but not sort of not modern in some ways. It isn't needlessly sporty, is it? It's not sort of, it doesn't have a modern agenda somehow.
Also, if I do go a bit faster, I know you won't be keen on that because you know, but it's got nice keen steering. It turns sweetly, dynamically. It is say dynamically, it's the most rewarding car here, probably.
Yeah,
in a way of driving at a, you know, not fast, but at a quickish road pace. Where I mean, the Rolls Royce I prefer to drive, but I would be driving it slower, and I'd just be enjoying.
Yeah, there's more duality in this. When you hit sport mode, suddenly the 4-wheel steering system really starts to come in, I think, and it handles, it really does.
Yeah. Right. So as soon as we get over here, we'll be at 50 miles an hour, so we can do...
That was quicker than it was in the old one.
Yeah, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay, we're at 50.
That's interesting. We're a bit louder than I thought we'd be. 59. So that is
just louder than the Bentley, isn't it?
Yeah,
just
slightly.
That is a surprise, actually, because that Bentley, I thought, had a fairly connected ride and some road noise. That is interesting. So the Rolls is quietest by a long way. The new Rolls Royce is quietest by a long way.
Yeah, surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
It feels it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I think that's also part of making its own problem, because when it does hit stuff, it's just that background, you know, it's such a sort of
against such a quiet background.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, as the passenger, what is the greatest luxury car in the world? I'm going to drive you right now to Glyndebourne Opera House in Sussex. We're in Wales. That's 4 hours from here, I would say. Down the M4, bit of the A23, along the lanes.
If I'm going to be driven and I'm choosing, I think I'm still going for the Phantom, mate, because I know on roads like this you can find it out, as we've learned.
Yeah.
But I also know that when you get to normal roads, it does that lovely wafty thing, and the background noise level is so low, and it doesn't really very often find edges to trip over. And if I'm going to the opera, mate, I'm going in a Rolls Royce, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if I'm driving you, I'm driving that as well. So it's a unanimous choice, back or front.
So there you have it, a unanimous choice that the Rolls-Royce Phantom is still the finest luxury car on earth. Now, if you're sitting in the back of one and fancy reading about exactly why, you can read Matt Saunders' written verdict by subscribing to Autocar magazine at themagazineshop.com. That verdict includes input from leading dynamics engineers. You can also find us over at autocar.co.uk, and while you're here, if you would up-thumb this video and maybe subscribe to the channel, we would like it more than you realise. Thank you for watching. See you next time.